E-way bill is also an important area. So because every attempt they will be asking 1 or 2 questions on E-way bill. At least in MCQs they will be testing this. The weightage, every attempt the weightage is 4 marks. 4 marks to 5 marks they are asking question on E-way bill. Look into page number 153. What is an E-way bill? Whenever there is a movement of goods, that movement of goods we need to intimate to the department that we are taking goods from one location to another location, and for that intimation we need to file a document called as E-way bill. And what is the purpose of this E-way bill? Whenever the goods are taken from one location to another location, proper officer is having power to intercept the vehicle as per section 68, and they will be verifying that vehicle. If that vehicle is not having E-way bill, then these goods are unaccounted goods and the goods are liable for confiscation. This E-way bill has been made into GST because under GST law the concept of physical check post has been removed. So in order to improve the speed and the logistics industry, so what they did, they removed the physical check post, but randomly they can stop any vehicle and they can be checking. So this E-way bill is a very important document. Not having E-way bill and not having proper details in E-way bill, both are same. So both cases there will be confiscation, that is a seizure that will be happening under section 68. So it is to be generated before movement of goods. Whether this E-way bill is applicable for goods or services or both, only for goods. How service can be moved here from one place to another place? So therefore it is only in case of movement of goods. That too, what type of goods? Taxable goods or exempted goods? Only taxable goods. So it is not applicable in case of exempted goods. Even for taxable goods, it will not be applicable if the value of goods in an invoice or a document does not exceed 50,000 rupees. While counting that 50,000 rupees limit, you need to include GST. For example, value of the goods is 48,000 plus 5% GST. So 48,000 plus 5% when you add, it goes beyond 50,000, correct or not? Now whether E-way bill is applicable or not applicable? Applicable. So don't see 48,000, see the value after adding GST. So it is not applicable if value of goods including GST and excluding exempted supplies does not exceed 50,000. However, in 2 cases, E-way bill is always required irrespective of the value. That is movement of goods under job work or movement of handicraft goods. Even the value does not exceed 50,000, E-way bill is required. Then in E-way bill, there will be 2 parts. Part A, which comprises of GST and details of supplier and recipient, document number and reason for transportation. Whereas part B comprises of transport details. Now, what is the validity of E-way bill? Once the E-way bill is generated, it has got a validity, that is every 200 kilometers or part thereof, the validity will be counted as 1 day. For example, if the distance is 480 kilometers, the validity will be taken as 3 days. For every 200 kilometers, 1 day. First 200 1 day, next 200 1 day, remaining part thereof also 1 day. So 3 days is taken as a validity, which means the delivery should be completed within that 3 days. What will happen if the delivery is not completed within that 3 days? Then the validity of E-way bill may be extended within 8 hours from the time of its expiry. But when you are extending the validity, you need to specify the reason as to why you could not complete the delivery within the time limit, and even we need to turn on the geographical location as to where the goods are in. So that is a mandatory requirement. Then suppose if you are not renewing the E-way bill, that is extending the validity of E-way bill, but the E-way bill validity expired, still the goods are taken, and if any officer intercepts that vehicle, then these goods are liable for seizure as good as there is no E-way bill, because the E-way bill is expired. Then how the validity will be counted? It will be counted from the midnight of the day in which it is generated to the midnight of the next day as 1 day. So which means today morning, if E-way bill is generated, the 3 days will be counted from today night to tomorrow night, day after tomorrow night, and thereafter day tomorrow like night. So 3 days means always the validity will expire by when? 12. Always the validity will expire by 12. And what is the time limit within which the validity can be extended? Within 8 hours from the time of its expiry, means by 8 a.m. of the next day we need to extend the validity. Then what is the validity of the e-way bill? 1 day for every 200 kilometers or part thereof. In case of over-dimensional cargo or multi-mode transportation in which one leg of movement is by ship. Over-dimensional cargo means like the tail of that cargo is big, like some 20 wheels, 30 wheels, truck will be there. So that over-dimensional cargo, it will take lot of time to reach the destination. Even multi-mode transportation where one leg of the journey is by waterways, usually waterways the speed will be less. So then it will be taken as 1 day for every 20 kilometers or part thereof. So generally 1 day for every 200 kilometers or part thereof. In case of ODC, over-dimensional cargo or multi-mode transportation where one leg of the journey is by ship, 1 day for every 20 kilometers or part thereof. Then we have some FAQs in this regard. When e-way bill is not required. So these are the cases where e-way bill is not at all required. Number 1, transportation by non-motorized vehicle, bullock cart, horse cart, etc. Definitely e-way bill not required there. Then goods transported from customs port, airport or air cargo complex to land customs station or inland container depot or container freight station. Basically these are the places which are under the control of customs, and these goods when it is transported from these establishments, so these are under the control of customs, that's why e-way bill is not required. Customs port, airport, air cargo complex, inland container depot, container freight station, even goods transported under customs supervision or customs seal. So in simple point, you remember when the goods are moved which are under the control of customs, e-way bill not required. Then transit cargo transported to or from Nepal and Bhutan. So whenever the goods are taken from India to Nepal and Bhutan or Nepal and Bhutan to India, that is called as transit cargo that do not require e-way bill. Also we have seen one exemption in relation to transit cargo to Nepal and Bhutan. Then movement of goods for Ministry of Defence, that also do not require e-way bill, because if Ministry of Defence goods requires e-way bill, then they need to specify what are the goods they are taking, from which location to which location, which vehicle, we can stop that vehicle and we can steal those weapons and all, and that will not be good for the country. That's why movement of goods by defense do not require e-way bill. Then empty cargo containers are being transported. There is nothing in that container. What is that? We need to report as e-way bill. So that's why e-way bill not required. Then consignor transporting goods to or from between place of business and a weigh bridge for a weighment at a distance of 20 kilometers, which means that from the factory to the weigh bridge, we are taking the lorry for weighing the lorry. Now, anyhow that lorry do not contain goods, e-way bill not required. Then again the lorry will come back to factory, will be loading goods, then again the lorry will go to the weigh bridge. Now why you need to do that? In order to know what is the weight of the goods in the lorry. Now when the goods are loaded in the lorry and taken to the weigh bridge, if the weigh bridge is within 20 kilometers, e-way bill not required. If the weigh bridge is beyond 20 kilometers, e-way bill is required. Then goods being transported by rail, where the consignor of the goods is the central government, state government or local authority. What is the difference between 8th point and 5th point? 5th point, any movement of goods by Ministry of Defence. Whereas 8th point, movement of goods by government in which mode? Rail. Then goods specified as exempt from e-way bill by respective state governments or union territories. State governments and union territories also may have liberty to specify some goods for which e-way bill not required. Those goods do not require e-way bill. Plus some more goods which are specified by central government, that LPG for supply to household or domestic exempted category customers. That is, this red color cylinders, usually LPG cylinders, there are two colors, red and blue. Blue is used for commercial purpose. Red is used for domestic purpose. That red color cylinders transportation do not require e-way bill. Then kerosene oil sold under PDS, public distribution system, also do not require e-way bill. But if the kerosene oil is not sold under ration shops, for ration shops, but normally between two companies, if the kerosene oil is sold, whether that require e-way bill? Yes. But sir, LPG and kerosene oil are exempted goods now. Why are we talking about that? Who said it is exempted goods? It will be taxable. Under non-taxable supply, we don't have LPG and kerosene oil. Then postal baggage. Postal baggage, like postal departments, that also do not require e-way bill. Natural or cultured pearls, jewelry, goldsmith and silversmith wares. Why that do not require e-way bill? Then it will become money heist season 6. If they report e-way bill, because they will report what jewelry they are taking, which vehicle, everything they will report. Now you can stop that vehicle and loot that gold, na? So that's the reason why they do not require e-way bill. Other than imitation jewelry no one will touch. So therefore that requires e-way bill. Got it? Then used personal and household effects. That is when we are relocating our house to one place to another place, then also we book a lorry, na? In that case, whether e-way bill is required? No. Used household or personal effects. Whether e-way bill is required if movement of goods is not for supply? Yes. Whether such movement is under supply or without supply. Example, job work we are sending goods. Is job work supply? No. Even then e-way bill is required. Head office to branch office, same state, not distinct persons. Even then e-way bill is required. Yes, irrespective of whether it involves supply or not. Whether that 50,000 limit is for taxable goods or exempted goods, only taxable goods. If the invoice has both taxable goods and exempted goods, eliminate the exempted goods and see the value of taxable goods. If it exceeds 50,000, then e-way bill is required. While computing invoice value, whether GST to be included or to be excluded. While computing this 50,000 limit, we need to include GST. Who will generate the e-way bill? The primary responsibility for generating e-way bill is on the registered person who is causing movement of goods, that is supplier. But if the supplier is registered and the recipient is registered, then the recipient will have the burden to generate the e-way bill. If both supplier and recipient are unregistered, then the liability will be on the transporter. Sir, when both supplier and recipient are unregistered, where from there is GST? Here it is not about GST or not. Those goods are taxable goods. The moment those goods are taxable goods, let there be GST or not. That's what we saw. Whether it is supply or not a supply, e-way bill is required. You understood or not? The moment it is a taxable goods, we require e-way bill. And who will generate that? Transporter will generate. So registered person, e-way bill must be generated where there is a movement of goods of more than 50,000 in value to or from a registered person. If unregistered persons are also required to generate e-way bill. However, where supply is made by unregistered person to registered person, the receiver will have to ensure all compliances are met. Transporter, if both are unregistered, transporter will generate the e-way bill. Sir, even as an unregistered person, can you generate e-way bill? Yes. You don't need GSTIN to generate e-way bill. Just as citizen of India, you can enroll and you can generate e-way bill. Now, see this situation. Supplier has not generated e-way bill because the value of consignment does not exceed 50,000. But 10 such consignments are handed over to the transporter. And the transporter is carrying all these 10 consignments in the same vehicle. So the cumulative value of these 10 consignments exceeds 50,000. Whether the transporter is required to generate e-way bill for each consignment? Yes. Transporter should generate the e-way bill where all the consignments in the conveyance individually is less than or equals to 50, but in aggregate it exceeds 50,000. For each consignment, the transporter will generate e-way bill, and again a consolidated e-way bill will be generated in EWB2. The next, blocking of e-way bill. Whenever a person is not filing returns for consecutive 2 tax periods, e-way bill cannot be generated if return. Which return? GSTR1 or GSTR3B or CMP8 is not filed for 2 consecutive tax periods. They cannot generate e-way bill with respect to their outward supply, not with respect to their inward supply. With respect to their purchases, e-way bill is possible, not with respect to their sales. Neither them nor their recipient nor the transporter, no one can generate e-way bill. E-way bill generation facility is blocked only with respect to outward supply of goods by registered person who has not filed returns. However, e-way bill can be generated in respect of inward supplies of the said person. Then see this, some other points. In case of bill to ship to transactions, basically in case of bill to ship to transactions, there are two supplies now. One is between the supplier and the billing address. Another is between the billing address and the shipping address. Even though there are two supplies, but only one e-way bill is required. In case of bill to ship to transaction, one e-way bill is sufficient and it can be generated either by consignor or consignee. Then up to some distance, we are going in one vehicle. Thereafter, we are changing the vehicle. Then again a new e-way bill is required. No, in the same e-way bill, part B, we can add the another vehicle number. So multi-vehicle updation is possible in e-way bill. Then the moment we generated part A, we completed part A of the e-way bill. What is the time limit within which part B must be updated? Within 15 days. E-way bill should be accepted by the recipient within 72 hours from generation or delivery of goods, whichever is earlier. So what happens here is that there is a practical situation which I have come across, that is, one e-way bill has been generated in my name for 400 kgs of cashew nuts from Kerala to Tamil Nadu under my GSTIN. I got a message that 400 kgs of cashew nut e-way bill has been generated. I did not understand why will I buy 400 kgs of cashew nuts, and I went to the e-way bill portal and I checked under that e-way bill number, some supplier is sending the goods to Tamil Nadu, they reported my GSTIN. If I have kept quiet, you know what would have happened? Unnecessarily tomorrow, tax department would have served me a notice to pay the GST under RCM, because sale of cashew nuts, liability to pay GST is on the recipient, not on the supplier. And what will happen here? I have to report that I did not purchase. So I need to cancel the e-way bill. Had I not cancelled the e-way bill, then it is as good as I have purchased it from them. Then it will be difficult for me to prove that I have not purchased it. That's why once the e-way bill is generated, it should be accepted by the recipient within 72 hours of its generation or delivery of goods, whichever is earlier. The moment it is delivered to me, thereafter can I go and cancel? I cannot do the cancellation of that. Then who can update part B? Either it can be updated by supplier or recipient, or it can be updated by the transporter. If it is one vehicle of the supplier, supplier will enter part B vehicle number. Suppose if the vehicle is of the recipient, recipient will enter the part B. If these are handed over to one third party transporter, that third party transporter will enter the vehicle number. See the next page. Whenever there is a movement of goods, if it is taxable goods, e-way bill required, correct? Whenever there is a movement of goods, if it is taxable goods, e-way bill required. If it is under supply, one more document will be there, that is tax invoice. If it is without supply, the name of the document will be delivery challan and e-way bill. Got it? Suppose if the movement of goods is exempted goods, e-way bill not required. If it is under supply, the name of the document is bill of supply. If it is without supply, the name of the document is delivery challan. If these documents are not carried on with the movement of goods, those goods are liable for seizure under section 68. Okay. So that is with respect to this e-way bill provisions here.